Welcome to
Art,
or something like
hit.
a
TV
series
about artists of genre
backgrounds
and
media.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I'm not supposed to dance, all right? You're supposed to dance for the art show.
from
music,
performance,
Writing
and
poetry, to
Photography.
sculpture, film,
and
Video.
sit,
Relax.
and enjoying the show.
You're watching art or something like it.
Hi, my name is Martinia Secondo Russo, and I'm here with all my creations. These are Tortured Trevor's 1 and 2. And I'm a multimedia artist based in New York. I paint, I sculpt, I make dolls, do all sorts of things. I think these guys are pretty pissed at me because I had them chained up during the last toy show here at MF Gallery, so now they're kind of torturing me. The MF in MF Gallery stands for Martina and Frank. Frank being my husband and longtime partner in crime. These are my little beanie skeletons. They were also from the 2005 MF Toy Show. They're cute. Their brains are hanging out. So these are a couple of my tattooed portraits. They're strangers. I spend a lot of time doing very detailed portraits of total strangers who are probably dead by now because a lot of these photographs are from the 60s, so you never know. Stop looking at me like that. What do you want from me? I just think it's fascinating that the artwork on their bodies was done, years and years ago, probably at a time when it was a lot less acceptable than it is now to have your whole chest covered with roses or whatever. And, to this day, wherever they might be, if they're in their graves or just old somewhere or whatever, the artwork on their bodies is still there. I'm smiling at. You're just an oil painting.
Maybe. Shut up.
We opened MF Gallery in June of 2003, and we mostly just wanted a space where we could show the kind of art that we were into, and we felt that underground art was a little bit underexposed in New York at the time. So there really weren't many places that showed this kind of stuff, so we just wanted to have a place where we could show artists that we knew and mix, more well-known names alongside up-and-coming artists, and mostly just a place where we could do what we wanted, show the kind of stuff we were into. Lately I've been hacking off limbs and painting tattoos on them, so these are some of my newest pieces right here. What's out there? What are you doing? What are you looking at? Where do you get all your ink done? I think good art stays with you. Whether you love it or hate it, it leaves an impression that you're gonna remember. It makes a scar. I don't know, he smoked something. Back off, okay? I don't like the way you're looking at me. So I like to use a lot of bright colors in my work because I feel like they really grab your eye and draw you in. Then as you get closer, you notice there's something a little weird about them, something a little off-putting. Like, you don't really want to look away, but you kind of don't want to keep looking at it too much either. I think I bring my own personal experience to the work, as probably most artists do, and even though you try to do new stuff, I mean, there's a line from a song that says, there's nothing you can do that's never been done before. So you can't always be totally original, but I think by bringing your own experience to it, you create something new. This guy's a little MF. He may look cute and cuddly, but he actually likes to drink blood.
Thanks for watching art or something like it. To find out more about me, go to mfgallery.net and click on Martina.
What the hell? You ambushed me, man? You ambushed me?
What? Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm not supposed to dance, all right? You're supposed to dance for the art show? Oh, okay, all right, dancing for the art show. What? All right, go. Show's over. All right, over. Well, that's all you're getting. There's 10 more minutes of this. So good luck. Oh, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. Go away.
Hi, my name is Eric Davis, and I'm a clown and Bouffon. People are probably familiar with clown, but Bouffon may be unfamiliar. Bouffon is sort of a cousin to clown. If you imagine, say, the medieval age, you have a grotesque character, somebody who has a hunchback or some sort of deformity, and they've been cast out of the village because they're children of the devil, thought to be of the devil because God only makes beautiful things. So one day out of the year, they invite this grotesque person to come back in and put on a show for them. And this grotesque person, the Bouffon, comes in very light on their feet, charming, with a bit of a shit-eating grin and FU eyes, and performs a show for everybody, taking the piss out of everybody who has cast them out previously. What typically happens when I do Bouffon, I transform my body. I begin to tense up myself up a little bit, or to think about, to feel my body, the body of the Bouffon is the body of myself, to be able to have pleasure, to be able to use that, or to move that body. And then it's starting to happen, this sort of like just orminess, or anxiousness, or otherness, this sort of like nastiness about that I'll never actually be with you because you're the fucking beautiful people, you guys out there, and aren't I disgusting, yeah? So I have to come out to perform for the absolutely beautiful people. My particular Bouffon is making fun of an elitist movement teacher. He's a sort of Parisian movement teacher who's actually from Iowa, and so he likes to show everybody how much better he is than them with his physical prowess. So he's constantly moving about, showing people that he can be interesting every 10 seconds, and that nobody's a better mover than he is.
You've got 10 seconds to wow the people. 10 seconds and they've made up their mind. 10, 9, here we go. 8, countdown. 7, out loud.
6.
Out loud, keep going. Stop, okay, that's completely unenthusiastic and boring. Completely unenthusiastic and boring. We all get on the bus together, we get there at the same time. You know, try again. Down, go. 10, 9, out, 8, keep going.
7,
so,
6,
you can't hands.
4,
Skills,
3,
the technique.
2, 1.
What? What's this? What's that? I have 10 more seconds. I have 10 more seconds because I have a skill.
And the other genre that I work within is clown, which probably has a wider range, is more vulnerable, and the idea is to be laughed at rather than the Bouffon poking fun at the people in the audience. Now, as the clown, I am the joke, and the audience laughs at me for my ridiculousness.
Was that thing moving, or was that just my imagination?
I think it's
Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't see it move? I thought I don't know. Okay, I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of everything. I can't even trust myself. That's usually the first person you can't trust, right? What is that? I don't know what this is. Every time I run towards the way, I don't know. I run away from something, I run towards something else, and then I have to run away from it. I can't go anywhere. Even if I stand still, I'm still too close to something, right? Oh my God, oh my God! All right, what? I did not want to wear this! I've been sabotaged! Monsters!
The difficult thing about clowning is they're laughing at you, you know? So as I'm strengthening like my clown with this new work, sometimes it's like sharing the parts of me that I don't necessarily want to show everybody. They can be the petty and the small parts. And it takes a bit of time to be able to have faith that those things are laughable. But it's great because not only do you get to express those parts, which maybe you don't show every day on a social level, but you can express them to people's delight. So thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn anything more about me or clowning or Bouffon, you can visit my website, redbastard.com. What is that?
Hi, I'm Smadar. I'm a Mediterranean gypsy singer. I live in New York for the past 12 years. I come from a very, very, very tiny little town in the south of Israel called Sderot. It's populated mostly by North Africans, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. In recent years, Ethiopians and Russians also reside there. I perform with my 7-piece band. The music we perform is composed of Arabic, Ladino, Hebrew, and Greek. Gali Abui, which is an Egyptian song that was written and sang by a very famous Egyptian singer named Farid al-Atrash. This particular song is it's a song about what my father told me. That's what it means. My father was starting to get very sick. He had a heart disease. It was very important for me to finish the song before he passed away. I went to visit Israel before I recorded it, and we sat together and we did it on the darbuka. He played the darbuka and we sang it several times so I can just get it in my head. And then I was ready to record the song, and we did. And we recorded the oud player in Israel, and then we brought what we recorded here, and then it took us quite a few months to finish this particular song. I wanted to make it very special. And then when it was done, my father was already in the hospital, so I brought him a CD of the song before it was even mastered or mixed, and he loved it. And that's the memory I have from this song. It's a very beautiful song with very beautiful lyrics and melody, and it will forever stay my father's song. My band is composed of Muslims and Jews. We have no limitations or boundaries as far as we don't get involved in politics, although what I do is a political statement coming from a place with so many conflicts. I insist on having musicians from all these regions to show that it's possible to have that freedom of creating and uniting and making music that it's beautiful and should be available to everyone to listen to and understand. Another song that I would like to talk about is Salam ul Hub, which means peace and love. I wrote it in 3 different languages, in Egyptian, Tunisian, and Moroccan. And it's a vision that I had, that what if all the gates and the walls and the checkpoints in Israel and Palestine would be off, and that people would be able to cross, you know, to just cross the towns and cities freely and be free.
אנשים אנשים את נפשי מבקשים מלחמה הם רוצים אלוהים ينسش تحبوا مني نحب نعيش نحب نغني يلا يستحمى يا مامي واي واي ما تخممي ينسش تحبوا مني نحب نعيش نحب نغني يلا يستحمى يا مامي واي 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 ما تخممي.
So thank you for watching. If you want to find more about me, you can log on to www.smadarlevi.com. And really hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching Art or Something Like It.
Today I was at the dentist, actually. I started thinking about when they start pulling teeth. They didn't pull my teeth today, fortunately, but I wonder if they look at a tooth and they sort of fantasize about a fishing boat or a new Mercedes-Benz or a new house, and they see this tooth and it sort of looks like a Mercedes-Benz. It turns into a Mercedes-Benz and they say, oh, I got to have that, and they start pulling your teeth, and you know, that's how they get money for their expensive toys.
Hi there. I'm Gregory Barsamian, and welcome to my studio. I'm a sculptor. I've been working with the persistence of vision, a kind of animated sculpture, for the past 15 years. When I say mind clutter, you all know what I'm talking about. Little bits of song and pictures and lost objects and chirping birds and you name it. All those little things that clutter our mind take up space, valuable space that you really need. And yet, an old clip from Tom Jones, you can recite it by heart. You never liked it in the first place. Hence, I created this piece with my own idealized likeness, the scream, where the head, in essence, screams and in the process turns inside out. and reveal some of those meaningless objects. Sculpture, you can imagine, changes in time as a person walks around it. The vision in a person's mind as they walk around a sculpture is kind of like an animation in itself. However, that animation is, for the most part, under the control of the viewer as they walk around it. In order for an artist to seize that control, it usually requires some kind of electronics or motors. In German, they have an expression for going to bed, much like we would say hitting the hay or hitting the pillow. And they say, ich gehe in die Falle, which is, I'm going to the trap. And I thought, they think of bed as a trap. You know, I like my bed, I love sleeping. And it struck me as a kind of indication of overachiever mentality. And so I fashioned this piece around that theme. If I had to be classified, I could probably be thought of as a modern-day surrealist. Surrealist art had its concern wrapped around the whole notion of the unconscious being not only interesting but vital and revealing about our inner selves. Cakewalk derived from a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche from Thus Spake Zarathustra, in which he was talking about the notion of controlling the moment of your death. That if your life were a piece of art, then controlling the moment of your death would be a very important aspect of that piece of art. And so in that piece I have some little figures being born in the crotch of a book and marching to the outside of the page. When they reach the outside of the page, they're slammed by a Mack truck. I make art in order to say things that can't be said in any other way. There's a huge realm of things that are outside of our consciousness, that fall outside of language, that are not communicable other than through feelings, through intuition, through images. If there is too much explanation or too much verbiage associated with it, I think that detracts from the experience of allowing that intuitive flow to affect you. Untitled was a piece about writer's block or artist's block. In it there's a fellow endlessly crumpling up drafts of the drawing he's working on and throwing them at the camera. They then emerge from the surface of the photograph hanging on the wall and lie littered on the floor in front. Each one has its own personality. One's burning, one slaps against the wall like wet toilet paper, one sort of chasing its tail, while still another is bound in string, writhing around. The technique I'm using takes three-dimensional objects, sculpts them in a sequence, like pages in a flip book. I mount them on a rotating armature. As each object passes you, I have a strobe light flash which gives you an image, just like the passing of a page in a flip book. And then the next one rotates into position and flash another image, the next one, and so on, just like the flipping of a flip book. If you investigate the world of postcards on the web, you'll find a rich, rich variety, from the mundane to all manner of humorous and crazy, surreal, silly postcards. There are sites devoted to the most bizarre of them. And as I did research, I started to think that I might try my hand in adding to this rich tradition. So I created a postcard rack with 5, I believe, different postcards that are animated in 1.5 second animations, poking fun at some of our great traditions in America, like the strip mall, where I have it being vacuumed up. Then of course there's the shrinking White House that all but vanishes in front of my eyes as I gaze on it as a tourist. There's the Brooklyn Union Gas Company gas tanks that they blew up and collapsed some years ago. Two of them seated side by side, bearing an uncanny resemblance to the trade towers. Lastly, there's also a lovely scene as you come in the LIE of a graveyard with a incinerator perched at the very top of the hill above the graveyard. Each one carrying with it a slice of our experience here in New York. Frequently in constructing these little stories, I'll start out with an idea and I'll create a short storyboard of the idea in drawings and then move immediately in clay to try and flesh it out as sculpture. Sometimes I'll have to produce a series of clay sculptures. I can then take a digital photograph of each one, place it in the computer and loop it to see if it's in the ballpark before I commit to casting it. The objects I make are somewhat large and massive and spinning around at 30 miles an hour, basically containing the energy that you would find in a car traveling at the same speed. In one instance, when I was constructing life-size figures around a 2,500-pound armature, I decided to turn it on to test it, first slowly, but all the supports were not in place. As it turned, it animated the way I expected it to, and I thought, that's good, I'd like to see it a little faster. And as I turned up speed, I heard a little tick, 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 and before I knew it, the leg of this life-size wire figure had flown out a little bit, but then it caught on a table, and then it picked the table up and threw it across the room 30 feet, taking with it cans of paint, power tools, and whatever else in its path, flinging it along in this 6-foot giant jagged metal flagella that whipped everything in sight. I dove under the bench and stayed there. I was able to get to the off switch in time. Juggler involved the production of life-size figures, clearly my most ambitious piece to date. And it was for a museum in Tokyo called ICC, Intercommunication Center, which was funded by the telephone company NTT, which was like our AT&T. It was a monopoly in Japan at the time. So I thought it only appropriate that I use the telephone as an image in the piece and examined its role in our existence. Thanks for watching Art or Something Like It. If you want to find out more about me, go to my website, GregoryBarsamian.com.
I